You know how often we talk about celebrities and how just completely disconnected they are from reality. It's not just celebrities. There's a lot of these people that are, well, it is celebrities, but the way I want to preface this is by saying more specifically people that have got their celebrity stature and status by being in California, particularly LA, right? And these guys have no fucking idea not only how the world operates, but, and it's not just them, it's a lot of people in California. You remember we covered this, and I think we watched her video. It was a libertarian chick, talked about this, like, why is it that there's so many people, like, you know, that in these, like, California, and we all know it's a shithole, but you have these people so convinced that otherwise, you know, she was talking about be it propaganda or, like, the culture, where there's folks that actually live in those areas that think they are the gold standard for a living standard in California. They think everybody else, or rather because they haven't traveled for the most part, unless it's within their own state. So they don't really understand that, you know, there's other places that are not only way fucking better than the areas that you're at, they're more cost effective as well. But I think that kind of extends to a lot of celebrities as well, where these fucking brainlets think shit's normal that's not normal. So there's been this conversation that, you know, was happening over on Twitter here. And Seth Rogen is responding to Casey. I know now it says Neistat. And this is what he posted. And he says, so our cars got robbed this morning because Los Angeles is a crime-riddled third world shithole of a city. Where's the lie? For those of you that have been to LA, where's the fucking lie? It is a shithole city. But tremendous appreciation and gratitude to hardworking officers at LAPD West, who not only arrested the motherfucker, but they got all our stolen goods back. So this is what Seth Rogen, of all people, says. Dude, I've lived for over 20 years. You're nuts. Ha ha ha. It's lovely here. Don't leave anything valuable. It's called living in a big city. So I just want to start right there where, again, just imagine how detached you are when you preface the conversation by saying that. Basically, it's the equivalent of saying to a girl, if you don't want to be harassed, don't wear that skirt. That's basically what he said. Let's be clear here. That's basically what the man just said. That's a weird position to have because, and I'm going to talk about this a little more about the kind of cultural implications here as well, and how why these issues continue to persist, particularly in cities, because people want to refuse to address the actual problem. And they speak on that instance as if it's the fault of the victim, number one, or as if this is just the way of life, right? Casey says, I can still be mad, though. I feel so violated, which, again, people that have been robbed or stolen from, you know, it can be a traumatic experience. That shit is not anything to play with. Seth says, you can be mad, I guess. I don't personally view my car as an extension of myself, and I've never felt violated any of the 15 or so times my car has been broken into. Once a guy accidentally left a cool knife in my car, so if that keeps happening, you might get a little treat. So you see, again, it's this completely detached from reality. People, for the most part, go their entire lives having never had their car broken into. It's not a normal thing, number one, to have people just up and breaking into your car. But the motherfucker's bragging about having his car broken into 15 times. That's not a fucking normal. Nor if it was, does that mean that it's okay or acceptable? So what he's doing is trying to normalize this. And it does come from a perspective of someone that I don't know what Seth Rogen's upbringing is. I have no idea. I'm not going to even try to guess it, to be fair. But I will say that sounds like a perspective of someone that ain't never had to struggle. Because imagine that. Where your position is, I don't personally view my car like you could just afford to have your car fucking stolen or broken into. Average individuals, regular middle class families can't afford that shit, man. That's the livelihood you just fucking took off with. What are you talking about? But that's how detached he is, where he's like, oh, I thought it's just a fucking car. What the fuck? Yeah, it's a car. He said, I didn't get any treats. He just took the decorations for my daughter's seventh birthday party and left bloody handprints. Serious question. How did you get your car broken in 15 times? Asked Casey. Seth says, I lived in West Hollywood for 20 years and parked on the street. And this is what he says after admitting that. He says, also, it sucks your shit was stolen, but LA is not some shithole city. As far as big cities go, it has a lot going for it. Okay. This is a man that just bragged about having his car broken into 15 times. I'm from a big city. Okay. I'm from fucking Dallas, Texas. Born and raised. I have never had my car broken into. Now, I don't live in the city of Dallas right now, but I was born and raised in Dallas. Parkland fucking Hospital, staying in Oak Cliff, Texas. Spent my upbringing for basically from about when I was about, let's say, after I came back from Arkansas for about 15 to 18, I was in Southwest Dallas. I've never had my car, and I had, because I was going to school out of district. Don't tell them I told you that. It's too late now. They can't do shit. Because I was going to school out of district. I needed a car, so I was driving by as soon as I got back, and I was like 15 years old driving my Cutlass. Never had I had my car broken into. He's getting his car broken into. He's talking about 20 years, like what, a year and some change, just a year and some change over that span. That's not normal, okay? And no, that is not this sort of consequence that you should experience or should have to experience just because you live in a big city. Now, here's my thing. Even in some places, which obviously it is, again, LA is a shithole, you could not pay me enough money to live in California, let alone fucking LA. You couldn't. Hell to the no. But on a serious note, there are cultural problems and definitely how we approach property. And there's been this shift where stuff like that is tolerated and stuff like that is permissible. California is going through this problem in other states as well, such as other cities like San Francisco. Well, the Walgreens are getting the fuck up out of there. You got all these laws that basically suggest if they steal under like $1,000 worth of gear, you can't fucking do shit. They can't. They're not going to get charged and stuff like that. So it's basically a goddamn free for all, right? That's not a normal thing. And again, if you live in an area where unfortunately it is, this is where I'm at with it. If you can't do anything aside from condemn the actions or the acts of aggression, whether it be in stealing people's private property rights, stealing people's private property, violating their private property rights, then shut the fuck up talking. Because that should be all that's discussed here. Not, well, you live in a bad area or you shouldn't have did this. For what? Why? Why does this person as a human being do not have you're speaking as if it's their own damn fault. Now, I'm not saying don't be conscious or don't be aware of your surroundings. Lady Ripper can attest to that. I'm always looking. I got my head on a swivel. That's just how it is that I am, because you kind of got to be that way for the sake of survival. However, you don't blame the fucking victim in the event that the aggressor does something that is an actual act of aggression. This shit has been normalized in so many different subcultures. Like we saw that in the Summer of Love in 2020, where people went and burned your business down. People spent late life savings opening up a bar. Motherfucker done robbed the safe, robbed them for the safe up out of there. And you got crackheads on the internet who ain't got shit talking about, well, it's just property. And that right there is the problem. That's the problem right there. And celebrities who, let me say this, when you deal with stuff like this, and this is not to say that I haven't been stolen from. I remember my first traumatic experience was first traumatic experience when I was a youngster. I was at my grandmother's house and a motherfucker kicked the front door in. that shit can fuck someone up. You know what I mean? And it's not an experience that I would wish on anybody. That shit is not fun, right? And on a serious note, when you're dealing with those problems like what it is that we're discussing, whether it be acts of aggression, private property, stealing of it, the damaging of it, people like Seth Rogen who have money or maybe have never went without us, certainly it's been a while, can look at that and say, well, it's just nothing, I can replace it or whatever. Whereas to your regular person in a family cannot afford that. And that has other implications because for example, if you're a rich person and something like that happens, you can get up and get your shit the fuck up out of there and it's nothing. Whereas it's a little more difficult for some people, not to say it's impossible, but for your just regular middle class family, for them to kind of make an adjustment. So you have them maybe living in a house, let's say, that was robbed, and that shit plagues in your mind, like, will it happen again? And that shit, definitely for youngsters, that shit can be a traumatic thing. And this guy speaking as if the shit's normal. This is why Hollywood guys are the fucking scum of the earth. Now, I will say this. I guess I prefer that them continue to run the areas that they're in into the motherfucking ground, as opposed to going out and elsewhere and then living, going to somewhere else and then kind of supporting the same policies that led to this sort of issue. But all this does is show how disconnected they are. But for you guys that are living in maybe LA and you think because you've been convinced because of, TV and all of that you live in the greatest city in the fucking world, you live in a fucking shithole. Okay? There are pockets all throughout this world, all throughout this country that are way better, more affordable, far more safe than your shitty ass fucking shithole city. Homelessness through the goddamn roof. All those issues of wealth inequality that you guys bitch and moan about, LA is like the fucking hub of that, right? You live in a fucking shithole, and they've done a great job of convincing a lot of people out west, particularly in California, LA, if we're going to be more direct, that you guys live in what is the beacon of Americanism, and it's fucking not. You live in a shithole. You've just been convinced, I don't know, again, it could be for the TV, I don't know, that you just, this is where this is the experience in life that everybody desires. Crackheads, potentially. And y'all got plenty of them walking the streets. But now with the spread of information, people know, definitely all through pockets of the South, all the states that you guys hate, there's nice areas fucking everywhere from fucking Mississippi to Alabama. Back down to Arkansas, fucking where I'm at, North Texas. It's like, it's all these, but you think it's just fucking hillbilly hicks walking around like crazy motherfuckers, or we ride, like a lot of people out of town think we in Texas just ride on fucking horses and shit everywhere. Some of us do, to be fair. But those people riding on horses live in a far fucking better situation than your shithole fucking city. Get over yourselves, man. What the fuck crack you on? You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.